Picture this. A man walks into a crowded conference room. No dramatic entrance. No expensive suit. He doesn't clear his throat to get attention. He doesn't announce himself. He simply walks in, pulls out a chair, and sits down. And yet, something shifts. The people who were mid-conversation suddenly wrap up their sentences a little faster. The guy who was sprawled back in his chair quietly adjusts his posture. The woman who was scrolling her phone puts it face down on the table. Nobody told him to do any of this. Nobody asked. It just happened. That man didn't say a single word yet, but the room already decided something about him. Now here's the question that should be sitting in your brain right now. What exactly did he do? What was the signal? Was it his walk, his jaw, the way he held eye contact? Most people, when they try to answer that question, end up pointing at surface things. He looked confident. He had good posture. He just had that look. But none of those answers are actually correct, because what that room responded to wasn't something they could see. It wasn't a technique he practiced in the mirror. It wasn't a checklist he ran through before walking in the door. What they responded to was something operating at a much deeper level, something that was radiating out of him before he even opened his mouth. And here's what makes this fascinating. Most people spend their entire lives chasing the wrong thing. They read articles, they watch videos, they practice their handshake and their eye contact and their power poses in the bathroom before big meetings. And then they walk into the room and something still feels off. The respect isn't there. The authority isn't landing. And they can't figure out why, because on paper, they did everything right. The reason is simple but uncomfortable. Respect is not a performance. It is a broadcast. And what you broadcast to every room you walk into is not decided in the moment you walk in. It is decided in every private moment that came before it. Every decision you made when no one was watching, every time you honored or betrayed your own standards, every signal you sent to your own subconscious about who you actually are. That is what people feel when someone walks into a room and the air changes. They are picking up on an internal architecture, a structure that either holds a person together or quietly falls apart under pressure. And the most powerful truth about this architecture is that it can be rebuilt deliberately, systematically, almost like reprogramming your own operating system from the inside out. That is exactly what this video is about. There's a specific internal rewiring process that happens in people who command respect without ever demanding it. And by the time we reach the end of this, you will understand not just what that process looks like, but how to trigger it in yourself, starting today. Let's talk about the advice you've already received, because chances are, at some point in your life, someone told you one of these things. Stand up straight, give a firm handshake, make strong eye contact, speak slower, take up more space. And look, none of that advice is evil. Some of it is even partially useful. But here is the brutal problem with all of it. It is treating the symptom instead of the cause. And when you treat a symptom without addressing the cause, the best you can ever do is manage the appearance of something. You can never actually become it. Think about it this way. Imagine you go to a doctor and tell him you've been having headaches every single day for 3 months. And the doctor hands you a bottle of painkillers and says, take 2 of these every morning. The headaches go away temporarily, but the tumor is still growing. The pills were never touching the real problem. They were just muffling the signal. That is exactly what surface-level confidence advice does to most people. You fix the posture, but the anxiety is still running underneath. You rehearse the firm handshake, but your internal narrative is still telling you that you don't belong in the room. You slow your speech down deliberately, but your nervous system is still broadcasting stress through a dozen other channels you aren't even aware of. The micro tension in your jaw, the shallow rhythm of your breathing, the split-second hesitation before you speak, the way your eyes move when someone challenges you. And here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Other people's brains are picking all of that up, not consciously. They are not sitting there analyzing your micro-expressions with a clipboard. But the human brain has spent hundreds of thousands of years evolving into one of the most sophisticated threat and status detection systems on the planet. It reads people the way a scanner reads barcodes, fast, automatic, and almost always accurate. which means the moment you walk into a room performing confidence instead of owning it, the room knows. They may not be able to articulate it. They may not even realize they know it, but their gut already filed a report. And that report said, something is slightly off with this person. This is why the most magnetic, respected, naturally authoritative people you have ever met in your life were not doing what you thought they were doing. They were not running a mental checklist. They were not remembering to make eye contact every 3 seconds. They had something built into the foundation of how they move through life. Something that made all of those external signals authentic instead of manufactured. That something has a name. Call it internal architecture. Call it personal authority. Call it whatever you want. But it essentially comes down to this. The signal you broadcast to other people is a direct reflection of the relationship you have with yourself when the cameras are off, when no one is watching, when there is no audience to perform for. The person who commands a room without trying is not someone who learned better body language. They are someone who built a better private life, someone whose inner world is aligned with the image they present to the outer world. And because of that alignment, because there is no gap between who they are in public and who they are behind closed doors, their presence carries a weight that no amount of posture correction can manufacture. Here's the most important idea in this entire video. So I want you to lock this in right now. Respect is an output, not an input. You cannot inject it into a situation by performing the right moves. It flows outward from a specific internal state. And that internal state is built over time, through the choices you make in private, through the standards you hold for yourself when no one is grading you, through the slow and unglamorous process of becoming someone whose inside matches their outside. And the reason most people never get there is not because they lack talent or intelligence or social skills. It is because they keep trying to edit the outside while ignoring what is rotting on the inside. The good news, and this is genuinely good news, is that the inside is exactly where we're going next. Because once you understand how this internal architecture actually gets built, everything changes. The way you carry yourself changes. The way rooms respond to you changes. And it happens not because you practice a new technique, but because you actually became a different person. That is the brainwashing we're talking about, not manipulation, not tricks, a complete internal rebuild, from the foundation up. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever stood in front of a mirror, looked yourself dead in the eye, and repeated a positive affirmation out loud? Something like, I am confident, I am powerful, I am worthy of respect, and then walked out into the world and felt exactly the same as before. You are not alone, and you are not broken. The reason affirmations fail most people is not because the words are wrong. It is because they are being delivered to the wrong address. They are knocking on the front door of the brain, the logical, verbal, conscious part that understands language and nods along politely. But the part of you that actually controls how you show up in the world, that part does not speak English. It does not respond to words on a sticky note or a motivational quote on your phone wallpaper. It responds to evidence. Think about your brain for a moment as a surveillance system, not a simple security camera, but a sophisticated, always-on, never-blinking recording system that has been running since the day you were born. It records everything, every promise you made to yourself and kept, every promise you made to yourself and broke, every morning you got up early and did what you said you would do, every night you caved and chose comfort over commitment. And here's the critical part. It never forgets. It is building a file on you, a detailed, comprehensive, brutally honest file. And that file becomes the foundation of your identity, not the identity you describe to other people at dinner parties. The real one, the one that runs in the background of every interaction you have, every room you enter, every conversation you attempt. When that file is full of evidence that you are someone who keeps their word to themselves, someone who does a hard thing, who maintains their standards, who shows up consistently in private, your brain starts to broadcast a very specific signal. A signal that says, this person can be trusted. This person is in control. This person is not faking it. And people feel that signal instantly, without knowing why. Now flip it around. When that file is full of broken promises, avoided discomforts, and private compromises, your brain broadcasts a completely different signal. And no amount of practiced eye contact or deliberately slowed speech is going to override it, because the surveillance system always wins. It has more data than your performance does, and it will leak that data into your body language, your vocal tone, your breathing pattern, and the subtle microsignals that other people's brains are reading in real time. This is the core of the brainwashing blueprint, and it has 3 layers. Layer 1, what you do when no one is watching. This is the foundational layer, and it is the most uncomfortable one to talk about because it requires radical honesty. The question is simple. Who are you when there is no audience? When there is no one to impress, no one to perform for, no one keeping score? Because that version of you is the real you, and the real you is what bleeds through in every public moment you experience. If you cut corners when no one is watching, your brain files that. If you let your environment fall apart when no one visits, your brain files that. If you speak to yourself with contempt and laziness in your private moments, your brain files that. And then it hands all of that filed evidence to your nervous system right before you walk into an important room. The private version of you is always the author of the public version of you. Always. Layer 2, how you treat your own future self. This one is subtle, but it might be the most powerful layer of the 3. Most people have a genuinely terrible relationship with their future self. They treat that person like a stranger, someone else's problem, someone who will deal with the consequences later. I'll start Monday. I'll fix it next month. Future me will handle it. But here is what that pattern actually does inside your brain. It teaches your subconscious that you cannot be relied upon, that you are the kind of person who abandons themselves. And that belief, even when it is never spoken out loud, radiates outward in the most subtle and damaging ways. The people who command the deepest respect are almost always people who have a profound sense of care for their future self. They make decisions today with tomorrow's version of themselves in mind, not out of rigid discipline or self-punishment, but out of genuine loyalty to who they are becoming. And that loyalty, it shows in ways that no technique can replicate. Layer 3, the daily signals you send your own subconscious. Every single day, you are either training your brain to believe you are someone of authority, or you are training it to believe you are not. There is no neutral. Every decision is a vote. Every small act of self-respect is a signal. Every small act of self-betrayal is also a signal. The brainwashing blueprint is not about one dramatic life overhaul. It is about the accumulation of small, consistent signals sent to your own subconscious over time, until a file that your brain has built on you is so overwhelmingly full of evidence of who you truly are that the broadcast becomes impossible to fake and impossible to hide. That is when the room shifts when you walk in, not because you practice a new move, but because you became a new person, from the inside out, layer by layer, signal by signal. And it starts not with a big dramatic change, but with the 5 areas of your life that are either building your authority or quietly destroying it every single day. I want you to do something right now. Close your eyes for a second. Actually do this and picture the private version of your life, not your LinkedIn profile, not your Instagram, the real version. Your bedroom at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, your car on a random Wednesday afternoon, your bank account on the last day of the month, your calendar for last week. Got that picture? Now ask yourself honestly, does that picture match the person you want to be perceived as in public? For most people, the answer is a hard and uncomfortable no. And that gap, that specific distance between your private reality and your public projection, is exactly where your authority is leaking out, quietly, constantly, in ways you can feel but cannot always name. There are 5 specific areas of life where this leak happens, and once you see them clearly, you cannot unsee them. More importantly, once you start closing the gaps, the shift in how people respond to you is almost immediate. Area 1, your environment. Your environment is not just a backdrop. It is a living, breathing reflection of your internal state. And your brain knows it. Walk into a chaotic, neglected, disorganized space every single day, and your brain absorbs that signal on repeat. It files it under, this is who we are. This is our standard. And that standard leaks into everything. This is not about having an expensive home or a perfectly curated aesthetic. It is about whether you take care of the space you inhabit. Does your bedroom look like someone who respects themselves lives there? Does your desk look like someone in control of their life works there? Does your car look like someone who values their own time and comfort drives it? The discipline it takes to maintain your environment is the same discipline that broadcasts authority in a room full of people. They're the exact same muscle. And if you are not exercising it at home, you are not going to suddenly have it available when you need it most. Start there. Seriously, clean your space, not for Instagram, for your own surveillance system. Area 2, your time. How you treat time is one of the loudest signals you send, both to yourself and to everyone around you. Are you chronically late? Do you consistently overcommit and underdeliver? Do you spend hours every day in a fog of distraction and then wonder where the day went? Every time you are late, your brain files it. Every time you waste a morning scrolling and then feel the quiet shame of a day that slipped through your fingers, your brain files it. And that accumulated record of someone who does not respect their own time becomes part of the signal you broadcast. People who command deep respect treat their time and other people's time like it is genuinely valuable, not as a performance of importance, but because they have built a private relationship with time that reflects real self-respect. And everyone around them feels that. Start protecting your time like it matters, because the moment you do, your brain starts updating its file, and the signal starts to change. Area 3, your appearance. Before you skip past this one, this is not about being attractive. It is not about fashion or aesthetics or any kind of superficial standard. It is about one specific question. Are you taking care of the one physical vessel you've been given? Because here is what your brain is actually tracking. Not whether your clothes are expensive, whether you put in the effort, whether you show up to your own life looking like someone who gives a damn. There is an enormous difference between someone who cannot afford designer clothes but shows up clean, well-groomed, and put together, and someone who has all the money in the world but walks around looking like they gave up somewhere along the way. The effort you invest in your own appearance is a direct signal of self-respect. And self-respect is the bedrock of the kind of authority that makes people afraid to disrespect you. Area 4, your social life. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with, not who you admire from a distance, who you actually physically spend your hours with, because those people are calibrating your standards whether you realize it or not. If the people around you regularly normalize mediocrity, complaining, low ambition, and self-destructive behavior, that becomes your baseline. That becomes what feels normal. And normal is what your brain broadcasts as your identity. This is not about cutting people off coldly or becoming some kind of ruthless social climber. It is about being honest with yourself about whether your social environment is feeding your growth or quietly capping it. Because the company you keep as part of the file, your surveillance system, is building on you every single day. Area 5, your financial life. This one makes people uncomfortable. Good. That discomfort is information. Your relationship with money is one of the clearest windows into your relationship with your own future self. Are you consistently spending more than you earn? Are you avoiding looking at your bank account because you already know what you will find? Do you make financial decisions that betray tomorrow's version of you for a momentary comfort today? This is not a lecture about budgeting. It is about what financial chaos does to your internal state. When your financial life is out of control, a part of your brain is always quietly panicking. Even when you are sitting in a meeting trying to project calm authority, that low-level anxiety is running in the background, and it leaks in your voice, in your eyes, in the way you respond when someone puts pressure on you. Getting even a basic level of order into your financial life does something remarkable to your internal signal. The background panic quiets, the broadcast clears, and the authority that was always in there starts to come through without interference. Here's the thing about all 5 of these areas. You do not have to fix all of them overnight. You do not have to become a perfectly optimized human being by next Tuesday. But you do need to start moving in each of these areas, because every single one of them is either feeding your authority or draining it. There is no neutral ground. The gap between who you are in private and who you want to be in public is not a confidence problem. It is not a skills problem. It is not even a motivation problem. It is an alignment problem. And alignment is built one private decision at a time. Here is something nobody tells you about fear. Fear does not just live in your head, it lives in your body, and it has a very specific, very measurable physical signature. Your heart rate climbs, your breathing shortens, your movements become faster, smaller, jerkier, your gestures tighten up, your senses speed up, everything accelerates, because your nervous system is doing exactly what it was designed to do in a moment of threat. It is preparing you to either fight or run. The problem is, your brain cannot always tell the difference between a genuine physical threat and a high-stakes conversation, between a predator in the wild and a difficult client across a boardroom table. The nervous system response is almost identical, and when that response fires in a social situation, it broadcasts something to everyone in the room that you absolutely do not want to broadcast. It broadcasts that you are afraid, not in a dramatic, obvious way. Nobody's going to point at you and say, "Look, that person is scared." It is far more subtle than that. It shows up in the pace of your words, in the speed of your gestures, in the way you shift your weight when silence enters a conversation, in the micro movements of your hands when someone challenges your idea, in the almost imperceptible acceleration of everything you do when the pressure rises. And other people's brains read all of it, automatically, instantaneously, without a single conscious thought. Now here's the flip side of that equation, and this is where it gets genuinely interesting. Authority has a physical signature too, and it is almost the exact opposite of fear's signature. Where fear speeds everything up, authority slows everything down. The people who naturally command respect move through the world at a different pace than everyone else around them. Their gestures are deliberate. Their pauses are comfortable. Their stillness does not feel awkward. It feels intentional. Like every movement they make is a choice rather than a reaction. And here's the part that most people completely miss. This slowness is not a performance technique. It is not something they're doing consciously to appear more powerful. It is a direct physical output of their internal state. Because when your nervous system is calm, when your internal architecture is solid, and your private life is aligned with your public presence, your body naturally moves at a lower frequency. The urgency drops away. The jerkiness disappears. The acceleration that fear creates simply does not get triggered in the same way. But here's the good news for those of us who are still building that internal foundation. The relationship between the body and the mind runs in both directions. Yes, your internal state shapes your physical behavior, but your physical behavior also shapes your internal state. This is not a one-way street, which means that deliberately, consciously adjusting the speed at which your body operates can actually begin to recalibrate your nervous system from the outside in, not as a permanent fix, but as a powerful bridge while the deeper internal work takes hold. So here's a practice, and it is almost offensively simple. Imagine you are standing in a swimming pool, not the shallow end, the deep end, water up to your shoulders. Now try to move your arms quickly. Try to gesture the way you normally gesture. Try to walk at your normal pace. You cannot. The water creates natural resistance that forces every movement to become slower, more deliberate, more considered. Every action requires more intention. That is your new speed limit. For an entire week, not forever, just 1 week, I want you to install that swimming pool physics into every physical movement you make. Walk slower, gesture slower, turn your head slower when someone calls your name. Reach for your coffee cup slower. Set things down slower, not in a robotic, unnatural way, but with a kind of deliberate ease that says, I am not in a rush because I do not need to be in a rush. And watch what happens, not just to how other people respond to you, although that will change noticeably and quickly. Watch what happens internally, because when you slow your body down, you send a direct signal to your nervous system that there is no emergency, that there is no threat, that you are in control of this moment. And your nervous system, that ancient pre-verbal system that does not understand words or affirmations, actually begins to believe it because it is receiving physical evidence rather than verbal reassurance. This is body-based identity work, and it is one of the fastest ways to begin closing the gap between who you are right now and who you are becoming. There is a specific kind of stillness that the most commanding people in any room possess. Not the stillness of someone who is frozen or checked out, but the stillness of someone who is completely utterly present. Someone who does not need to fill every silence with movement or noise. Someone whose composure is so settled that the room actually becomes calmer just by being near them. That stillness is available to you, but it does not come from practicing stillness as a technique. It comes from doing the internal work that makes stillness your natural resting state. The slowness practice is the bridge that gets you there while the deeper work is being done. It is not the destination, but it is one of the most powerful on-ramps to the destination that exists. Start this week. Pick one conversation, just one, and make a decision before you walk in that your body operates at swimming pool speed for the duration of that interaction. No rushing, no rapid gestures, no filling silences out of discomfort. Just deliberate, unhurried, grounded presence. And pay attention to what the room does in response, because the room will respond. It always does. Let us completely destroy the version of discipline you currently have in your head, because chances are, when you hear the word discipline, a very specific image comes up: the 4 a.m. alarm, the cold shower, the brutal workout, the monk-like sacrifice of anything pleasurable in the name of productivity, the grind, the hustle, the endless, exhausting, joyless pushing of yourself through things you hate in the name of some future version of yourself that never quite seems to arrive. That version of discipline is not discipline. That is punishment dressed up in motivational clothing, and it does not work, not in any lasting, identity-level way, because it is built on a foundation of self-rejection. The idea that who you are right now is not acceptable, and you must suffer your way into becoming someone better. And you cannot build genuine authority on a foundation of self-rejection. You can only build a very convincing performance of it that eventually cracks under pressure. Real discipline, the kind that actually rewires your identity and changes how you move through the world, is something completely different. Here is the definition I want you to replace everything else with. Discipline is the act of prioritizing the needs of your future self over the desires of your present self. That is it. That is the whole thing. No suffering required. No brutal sacrifice. No self-punishment. Just a quiet, consistent, almost affectionate loyalty to the person you are in the process of becoming. Read that again, because the word affectionate matters. Most people have an adversarial relationship with their future self. They see discipline as something they impose on themselves, a kind of internal tyranny where the strict, responsible version of them beats the lazy, comfortable version into submission. And that adversarial dynamic creates internal conflict that drains enormous amount of energy and almost always ends in burnout, rebellion, or both. But what if instead of seeing your future self as a demanding boss you are trying to satisfy, you saw them as someone you genuinely care about, someone you want to take care of, someone you are in a loving, loyal relationship with? Because here is what changes when you make that mental shift. Every act of discipline stops feeling like deprivation and starts feeling like devotion. Choosing to go to bed at a reasonable hour is not punishment. It is taking care of someone you love. Preparing for tomorrow before you go to sleep tonight is not obsessive productivity. It is an act of service to a person who matters to you. Saying no to the thing that feels good right now but costs you later is not restriction. It is protection. And when discipline feels like devotion instead of deprivation, it becomes genuinely sustainable, because human beings are extraordinarily good at maintaining behaviors that come from love. We are extraordinarily bad at maintaining behaviors that come from self-contempt. Now, let me show you how this actually works in practice, because this is not a philosophical concept. It is a completely practical daily system. Think about what it means to be a butler, not in an antiquated, subservient way, but in the most functional sense of the word. A butler's entire job is to anticipate the needs of the person they serve, to make sure that when that person wakes up in the morning, everything they need is already in place. Every obstacle is already removed. Every friction point is already smoothed out. The day is already prepared. Your job is to be that butler for your future self. Every night before you go to bed, ask yourself one simple question. What can I do right now that future me will be genuinely grateful for tomorrow morning? Maybe that means laying your clothes out, so the morning version of you does not have to make a single unnecessary decision before the day even starts. Maybe it means prepping your workspace so you can sit down and immediately begin doing the work that matters instead of spending 20 minutes finding things and getting organized. Maybe it means writing down the 3 most important things you need to accomplish tomorrow so that future you wakes up with a clear direction instead of that foggy, slightly anxious feeling of not knowing where to begin. These are small things, almost embarrassingly small, but that is exactly the point. Because the human brain does not change through grand gestures and dramatic overhauls. It changes through the accumulation of small, consistent signals sent over time. Every single time you do something today that benefits tomorrow's version of you, your brain registers as evidence. Evidence that you are someone who takes care of yourself, someone who can be trusted, someone who is moving in a direction, and that evidence compounds. Here is something else that makes this framework genuinely powerful. It completely transforms your relationship with the past. Most people look backwards with regret. I should not have done that. I should have started sooner. I wasted so much time. And that backward-looking regret does something toxic to your present state. It fills your current moment with low-grade shame that quietly undermines your confidence and your authority in ways you might not even consciously recognize. But when you consistently act as a good butler for your future self, when you make decisions today that tomorrow's version of you will genuinely appreciate, something remarkable happens. You start looking backwards with gratitude instead of regret. And gratitude is one of the most powerful psychological states that exists. Not in a soft, greeting card way, but in a very specific neurological way. When you look back at your past self with genuine gratitude, when you find a hidden $100 bill in a jacket pocket, when you wake up to a prepared coffee and a laid-out outfit and a clear list of priorities, your brain releases a reward signal. It associates that positive feeling with the acts of forward-thinking discipline that created it. And suddenly, discipline becomes dopamine generating. It stops being the thing you force yourself to do. It becomes the thing you actually want to do because you have trained your brain to associate it with a feeling of genuine pleasure and self-appreciation. This is the mechanism. This is how the brainwashing actually works at the behavioral level, not through force, not through willpower, not through punishing yourself into a better version of your life, through building a relationship, a real, functional, caring relationship with the person you are becoming, one small act of devotion at a time. And as that relationship deepens, something else begins to shift. The way you carry yourself, the way you enter rooms, the way you respond under pressure, the way people look at you when you speak. Because the internal file your surveillance system has been building on you is now full of a completely different kind of evidence. Evidence of someone who keeps their word to themselves. Someone who takes care of their future. Someone who lives with intention in the private moments that nobody else sees. And that evidence is what broadcasts authority. Not the practiced handshake. Not the memorized eye contact ratio. Not the power pose you held in the bathroom before the meeting. The private truth of who you actually are. That is what the room feels when you walk in. And right now, in every small decision you make today, you are either building that truth or eroding it. Choose carefully. Let me tell you something that the personal development industry does not want you to fully understand. Because if you understood it completely, you would stop buying the next course. You would stop waiting for the next seminar. You would stop looking for the next framework, the next system, the next guru with a new set of tools to hand you. Here it is. You do not need more information. You need more repetition. Everything we have covered in this video, the internal architecture, the 5 areas of life, the body reset, the discipline redefined as devotion to your future self. None of it is complicated. None of it requires a genius-level intellect or a rare set of circumstances or a perfect starting point. What it requires is something far more unglamorous and far more powerful than any of that. It requires consistency in the dark, in the moments when nobody is watching, in the days when you do not feel like it, in the weeks when the progress is invisible and the results are not yet showing up in the mirror or in the room or in the way people respond to you. Because identity, real, permanent, bone-deep identity, is not built in the dramatic moments. It is not forged in the one big decision, or the single courageous act, or the moment of sudden clarity that changes everything. Those moments matter, but they are not where identity lives. Identity lives in the Tuesday afternoons, In ordinary Wednesday mornings, in the quiet Friday nights when no one is grading you, and the easiest thing in the world would be to let your standards slip just this once. What you do in those moments, repeatedly, consistently, over time, is what permanently locks in who you are. Think about it like this. Imagine you are carving a path through a dense forest. The first time you walk that path, it is hard. You are pushing through overgrowth, navigating obstacles, creating the route as you go. The second time is slightly easier. The third time easier still. By the 100th time, that path is wide and clear and almost effortless to walk. Your feet know where to go before your mind even thinks about it. That is exactly what happens in your brain. When you repeat identity-level behaviors consistently over time, you're not just building habits. You are carving neural pathways. You are physically restructuring the architecture of your own brain. And at a certain point, a point that comes sooner than most people expect when the work is done with genuine intention, those pathways become your default. The new identity stops being something you have to consciously maintain and starts being simply who you are. That is the lock-in. That is when it becomes permanent. But here is where most people fall apart. And I want to address this directly because it is the single most common place where this entire process breaks down. People go too big too fast. They get genuinely inspired, maybe by a video like this one, maybe by a conversation that shifted something in them, maybe by a moment of painful clarity about where their life is heading. And they decide that starting tomorrow, everything changes. The diet, the sleep schedule, the morning routine, the financial habits, the social circle, the environment, the discipline, the body language, all of it. A complete life overhaul beginning at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. And it works for about 4 days. And then life happens. One bad night of sleep. One stressful situation at work. One moment where the old patterns feel more comfortable than the new ones. And the whole carefully constructed new identity collapses like a house of cards in a light breeze. And then comes a thing that is more damaging than collapse itself. The story. The story that says, I tried and it did not work. I am just not that kind of person. Some people have it and some people do not. And maybe I am just one of the ones who does not. That story is a lie. But it feels like truth because the collapse felt so total. Here is the actual truth about how permanent identity change works. It is not a renovation. It is not tearing the whole building down and starting fresh. It is more like geological change, slow, patient, almost imperceptible on any given day, but absolutely unstoppable over time, layer by layer, decision by decision, private moment by private moment. The way you make it permanent is by starting smaller than you think you should, embarrassingly smaller, laughably smaller. You want to transform your physical environment? Start with one drawer, not the whole house. One drawer. Open it, organize it, close it. Done. That is a real signal sent to your surveillance system. That is a real vote cast for the new identity. You want to build a morning routine that sets the tone for authority and intentionality? Start with one thing. Just one. Maybe it is making your bed. Maybe it is 5 minutes of complete silence before you look at your phone. Maybe it is laying out your clothes the night before. One thing, done consistently for 2 weeks. Then add one more. You want to restructure your relationship with time? Start by being 5 minutes early to one commitment this week. Just one. Feel what that feels like. Notice how your brain responds to that private act of self-respect. Then do it again. Small signals. Consistent repetition. Compounding evidence. Because here is what happens when you work this way. You never experience a catastrophic collapse. You never give your brain the opportunity to build a story that says you cannot do this. Because you are never asking yourself to do something so enormous that failure is almost inevitable. You are asking yourself to do something so small that success is almost guaranteed. And guaranteed success, even tiny, quiet, private success, is the most powerful identity-building force that exists. Every small win is a brick, and you are building something that lasts. Now I want to bring everything full circle. Back to that man who walked into the conference room at the beginning of this video. The one who did not say a word, and yet the whole room shifted. Remember him? Here is what you know now that you did not know then. He was not doing anything in that room. Everything he was doing, everything that made the room respond the way it did, happened in the private moments that led up to that room, in the way he maintained his environment when no one was watching, in the way he treated his future self, in the small daily decisions that nobody else saw, in the way he moved his body consistently until slowness and stillness became his natural frequency rather than a practiced performance, in the relationship he built with discipline, not as a form of self-punishment but as a form of self-devotion. The room responded to the accumulated weight of all of that private work, compressed into presence, radiating outward without effort or intention, simply because it was real. That is what we have been building toward this entire video. Not a technique, not a trick, not a shortcut to the appearance of authority. The real thing, built the real way, from the inside out. And here's a challenge I want to leave you with. Not a long list, not 10 action items to screenshot and never look at again. Just one thing. Tonight, before you go to sleep, do one thing for your future self. Something small enough that you cannot talk yourself out of it. Lay your clothes out. Write tomorrow's priorities on a piece of paper. Clean one surface in your home. Put the coffee cup under the machine. Write yourself a small note and tuck it somewhere you will find it in 3 months. One thing, tonight, for the person you are becoming. Because that person, the version of you who walks into rooms and makes them shift without saying a word, the version of you who people think twice about before they consider being disrespectful toward, the version of you whose presence alone communicates something that no technique could ever manufacture, that person is not some distant fantasy. That person is the inevitable result of the private work you start doing right now. They already exist in the decisions you have not made yet. Go make them. And the most important thing to understand about all of this, about authority, about presence, about becoming someone people instinctively respect, is that it was never about what you show the world. It was always about what you build when the world is not looking. The most feared version of you already exists. You just have not given it permission to show up yet.